Dr. P.C. Unnikrishnan, Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics, Rajagiri. He has more than 25 years of teaching experience, and that too with different organizations. And he has also received many funds and also has many notable publications in journals and proceedings. And Sir shall put some insight into the faculty view on the topic we are discussing today. I welcome you, sir, for the next session.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Unnikrishnan PC, Professor, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, Cochin. And today's, I welcome you all to the webinar on redefining and reassessing value proposition in technical education in a post-pandemic era. Let me move to my task. So today's topic for me is how to make teaching more effective. Let's start the presentation with a quote from Winston Churchill. I am always ready to learn, although I do not always like being taught. So this is the common mentality of students. And with this quote, we go ahead. I have divided my presentations into 5 different parts. First part is technical education in Kerala. The second one is disruption in education. The third is education and 21st century skill needs. The fourth, neuro-linguistic programming. And the last one is inculcation of values in students. Starting with the technical education in Kerala, let us start with the comparison of the 10th and 12th results. If you see this graph, you will see that in 2020, the 10th pass percentage is almost near 99%, and the 12th pass percentage is 85.13%. For science, it is well above 86. So what does it mean? This means it's just a walkthrough for 10th and 12th students. Almost very small percentage of failures. Let us now see the overall analysis of semester 1 result of KTU. I randomly picked up 2018 batch, and you can see at the last line, the pass percentage is just around 46%. So if you look at 12th standard, the pass percentage is 86%, and when they come or when they finish the first semester, the pass percentage is just 46. So what conclusion you can make? To me, the 12th and the 10th results are highly inflated. It should not be more than 60%. If you look at the semester 1 results, you can see that the lowest percentage is in mathematics. So these students who come from 12th standard, they have a very poor mathematical aptitude. Now, this is a news article dated October 26, 2019. Out of 147 engineering colleges under KTU, more than 50% colleges have a pass percentage of less than 20%. So this means around 50% of colleges are dying. or they are vulnerable. And this is happening because the first reason is our input is very poor. They have very poor mathematical skills. This is another news article dated July 9th, 2020, that is last week. 50% engineering seats remained vacant. This again means there are no takers. So those who pass the 10th and the 12th examination and the entrance examination, they can walk into engineering colleges because 50% of the seats are vacant. Let us quickly see the admission to engineering colleges in Kerala. The rank list is prepared by calculating the marks secured in KEAM, that is the engineering entrance examination, and the grade in 12th examination in the ratio of 50:50. And in the entrance examination, there are two papers, paper 1, physics and chemistry, 120 questions, 4 marks, 480 marks total, and paper 2, mathematics, again 480 marks in all. And this is the funniest part. Candidates will have to obtain a minimum of 10 marks in both papers individually. Really a joke. What does it mean? It means that if a student is correct in just 3 questions in paper 1 and paper 2, he will be ranked. So to me, it is a total wastage of resources, money and time. Unfortunately, another KEAM examination is going on today. Now, a teacher is basically grilled or sandwiched between various stakeholders. The first one, the students. They come from a very poor mathematical background, a highly heterogeneous group of students. Parents are greedy to make their children engineers. When the child doesn't have a mathematical skill, they push them into engineering. The society considers engineers as something great. And the management wants 100% results and placement. So the teacher is really sandwiched between various stakeholders. And to a teacher, he has to pass the student and getting a placement for him. That is the toughest part. So for getting a high rate of placement, the students should be skilled. They should be employable. What are the different challenges in technical education? Poor mathematical skills of admitted students, the parental pressure to make their children engineers when the child does not have any interest or aptitude for engineering, poor quality of teaching staff. This is something very serious. There are no good candidates are coming for teaching. A doctor wants his child to be a doctor, a lawyer wants his child to be a lawyer, an engineer wants his child to be an engineer, and you ask a teacher doesn't want his child to be a teacher. Teaching preferred job. Most students who doesn't get a placement in BTech, they go for MTech and then they go teaching. And added to it, there is no proper training. If you want to teach a kindergarten or a high school, the teacher should be trained. Whereas to teach engineering students, you don't have to be trained. And the high workload. Many private institutions have workload varying from 28 hours to 30 hours a week out of 35. So the teacher is loaded with 28 hours or 30 hours. Where is the time for him or her to prepare for the lectures, to correct the answers, to correct the homeworks, prepare notes? So the teacher is stressed in all ways. Then the accreditation pressure. Research and consultancies are more important than teaching. If you are a good teacher and if your research part is zero, you may not continue in the same college for long. Whereas if your research and consultancy part is excellent, and if you are a bad teacher, for sure you will continue. Then insufficient core job openings. This is again a challenge for the teaching community. We teach the students mechanical engineering for 4 years, and finally the student goes for an IT job. And the student himself knows that in the first year itself that I will be getting only an IT job. Then he will not be motivated or interested in sitting in the class and learning mechanical engineering. And finally the COVID-19, that is the latest challenge. There is something positive also. If you see this graph, you can see that by 2020, due to aging of world economies, a shortage of substantial skilled manpower of around 56.5 million is expected across the globe. And you can see China, Japan, Russia, US, they are all have shortage, whereas India, Pakistan has excess labor. So our students, if they are educated and if they are skilled and employable, there are a lot of jobs around the world. Now let me move on to the second part, which is the disruption in education. So the digital disruption in the education sector, 3 disruptive waves are threatening to change the established ways of teaching and learning. The first one is the funding crisis. If you look back around 30-40 years, education was under the government. The government used to fund the institutions, but slowly they stopped funding. In Kerala, from government colleges, we moved to aided colleges. In aided colleges, the salary is paid by the government and other infrastructure is managed by the managements. And later, the government completely withdrew from funding the education. So hundreds of self-financing engineering colleges mushroomed. And these managements, they have a lot of problems, increasing costs, the costs are rising. They are investing a lot of money in infrastructure. The salaries of staff is galloping and the administrative costs also going up every year. And they have no control on the fee. The second one is the universities used to educate only a tiny elite class of students earlier. But now we are responsible for training and retraining workers throughout this career. Why? This is basically because the technology is fast changing. So we have to train and retrain our students. And the third disruptive wave is a technological revolution. Is changing the higher education business model. And that is nothing but the online learning. If you see this analysis about MOOC courses, this is an analysis of edX. You can see that the number of enrollments in 2012 was 3,95,000, whereas today there are 70 million plus course enrollments. So a large number of students are going for MOOC courses. These are the top 5 MOOC providers: Coursera, edX, Udacity, FutureLearn, and Swayam. You can see Coursera has 45 million learners and they offer 16 degrees. edX has 24 million and 10 degrees and so on. So large number of students are opting for online courses or MOOC courses. So the conventional learning setup of classrooms, lectures, textbooks, all this will be replaced by new digital and innovative teaching methodologies. Physical classroom will no more an integral part of the learning process. And the choice of courses will no longer be limited to the one available in a single university or in a single college, but across the globe in an unlimited manner. Disruption in higher education sector is predicated by the need to integrate technology with pedagogy. The major challenge to change is the resistance from the teaching community. We are not ready to move from chalk and talk to online methods of teaching and learning. There are other factors too. But this disruption will make learning more personalized, directed, flexible, and more effective. And the fourth sudden disruptive wave struck India in the month of March, which is COVID-19. And because of this, everything changed suddenly. Virtual universities are going to come. They will be providing education through internet, a form of distance education. No need for any physical infrastructure. The classrooms will be completely virtual. Students will be from all parts of the world. Maybe there you will see a lot of students from US, China, Pakistan, Korea, and India and Kerala sitting in the same class later. Tutors will be from various parts of the world. Maybe the first hour will be taught by a professor from Berkeley, and second hour maybe from a professor from Leeds, and third hour maybe a professor from IIT Delhi, and the remaining classes by our staff from India. Virtual labs will be a reality now. The physical labs will be replaced by virtual labs. So student doesn't have to go to the workshop and lab anymore. He will be just sitting at home in front of his computer, and he will be just pulling out different components and doing the lab virtually. Now you will ask how we can give a degree without having hands-on skills in workshops and laboratories. My answer is internships. If a student can do internship for 4 years, maybe 1 month every year, or maybe 1 month every semester, then he will have enough hand skills and he will be employable and he can be given a certification. So summing up together, we are going from traditional classroom to online classrooms. So all the universities have been competing each other by adding more and more events, programs, facilities, infrastructure. You will see many colleges have swimming pools, cricket pits, basketball, volleyball, and the poor student has to pay money for all this infrastructure. So this integrated infrastructure is being artificially propped up by student loans. So the student is forced to take loans, and later he will have to suffer a long time with repaying these loans. Now the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in an unprecedented upheaval in higher education. The students quickly realized that there is no need to be held captive anymore in the integrated structure. With everything moving into online, the education might be more cheaper, and you can take a bachelor's degree from any part of the world. Universities are thinking that they will return to normalcy, but as a matter of fact, there is no going back. So those universities seeking to survive and thrive in a post-pandemic environment has no choice but to reassess and redefine their value proposition. They have to come up with innovative ways of teaching to survive in future. Let us move on with this to the third part, which is the education and the 21st century skill needs. Let us see the education and training in India. India has the world's largest population of about 500 million in the age group of 5 to 24 years. And it is expected that the education sector will cross 150 billion US dollar by 2020. The number of universities in India are almost touching 1,000, which is a census done in 1 million students enrolled in higher education in 2019-20. So there is a lot of students and there is a lot of money. So it's going to be a big business. A lot of people are looking into it. It's the second largest market for e-learning after the US. The advantage of India is the robust demand, competitive advantage, policy support, and increasing investments. India has a huge English-speaking population, which makes delivery of educational products very easy. So India was ranked 34 out of 100 countries in English proficiency index into 2019. 100% FDIs is allowed in the education sector in India. So there will be a lot of players coming into India to grab this opportunity. So before proceeding further, let me make one more quote by Antonio Damasio in his book Descartes' Error. We are not thinking machines, we are feeling machines that think. So this is very important. When a teacher goes to the class, he should remember that every student is a feeling, he has a feeling and the capability to think. Now, what are the 21st century skills essential for students? The World Economic Forum has listed 16 skills essential for our students. They are divided into foundation literacies, competencies, and character qualities. Unfortunately, our curriculum takes care of only competencies, that is the middle one, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It is emphasized here. What are the 4 C's of 21st century skills? Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. So these are the 4 skills on which most curriculum is designed. So what is critical thinking? So critical thinking is basically, or to me, it is just thinking out of the box. So let us see an example for critical thinking. Join the 9 dots with 4 straight lines. Is it possible?
To join these 9 dots with 4 straight lines without lifting the pen. You probably have tried to join them with different combinations, but the key to solve this problem is to think outside the box. Draw the first line diagonally, joining the corners and the center. Then continue drawing the second line along the limb and stretch it outside the box. Now draw the third line by joining the 2 middle dots. And finally, join the last 2 remaining dots with a 4th line.
Now, is it possible to do the same exercise using 3 straight lines? Actually, I would like to give it as a homework, but I will give it. Yes, it is possible. With 3 straight lines, you can join the 9 dots.
This looks impossible to achieve, but surprisingly, it's possible. And this time it needs a great ability to think outside the box. So start joining the dots this way. So with 3 lines, you have joined the...
Now next, we come to collaboration. What is collaboration? Collaboration is a situation in which 2 or more people learn or attempt something together. That is collaboration. We will understand collaboration by an age-old story, which you all might be knowing, the story of the hare and the tortoise. But I will repeat it.
And the tortoise decided to have a race. The hare ran very fast. He covered a long distance. The tortoise walked slowly. The hare came to a carrot field, but he ate a lot of carrots. Then the hare came to a radish field, but he ate a lot of radishes. The hare was now full. He was feeling very sleepy. He slept under a tree. He slept on and on. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept on walking. The tortoise reached the mango tree. The hare woke up. He ran to the mango tree. What did he see? The tortoise was already there.
So what is the moral of the story? Slow and steady wins the race. The story is not complete, it continues. The second part is here. The hare starts thinking, why did I lose the race? Then he challenged the tortoise for a second race. This time he didn't stop anywhere and he win the race. And what is the moral of the story? Fast and consistent always beat the slow and the steady. The story is not over. There is a third part. Now the tortoise started thinking how I can win the hare. So he challenged the hare, and this time he changed the route. So they started the race. The hare came running. On the way he saw a river and he got stuck. Meanwhile, the tortoise came slowly, crossed the river, reached the finishing point and won the race. So what is the moral of the story? First, identify your core competency and then change the playing field to perform better. The story still continues. There is a fourth part of the story. By this time, the hare and the tortoise, they were close friends and they decided to have a race together as a team. And on the ground, the hare carried the tortoise, and in water, the tortoise carried the hare, and together they win. So what is the moral of the story? It's good to be individually brilliant and to have strong core competencies. But unless you are able to work in a team and harness each other's core competencies, you will always perform below par, because there will be always situations where you will do poorly and someone else does well. So collaboration is very, very important. So as teachers, we should give collaborative group projects, and such projects should take care of idea generating, idea organizing, intellectual convergence, and a possible application. An example is shown here, a dual axis solar tracker. If the students do it, they will have to think a lot outside the box, and they will be working with mechanical structure, electrical, electronics, a bit of IT and computer also. So it is such projects should be emphasized during the course of their study. Here you can see a group of students are doing their final year project. You see how happy they are and very enthusiastic also. Have you seen this type of enthusiasm in your class? I'm sure no. They are doing something which they like. And communication, creative thinking, collaboration, critical thinking, everything comes over here. There are teachers and students who will say we don't have facilities in our labs, workshops. And to such students and staff, read the fascinating story of India's first rocket launch. Rocket parts and the payloads were transported by bullock carts and bicycle to the launch pad. And this launch pad was a church in Tumba, Tirunelveli, in 1963, leading to the foundation of ISRO by Vikram Sarabhai. Why they selected this launching pad? Why they selected this church? And what was the reaction of the bishop when the scientists approached him? Please read the book Ignited Minds by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So you can give various tasks to the students. Ask them to teach a neighbor, teach a friend, teach a classmate, teach a student group, or teach even a teacher. Using animations are very important in engineering. We should be thankful to YouTube that we have large number of educational videos available now. But I have not seen many teachers using it properly. You can mute the video just as if I am doing now and keep explaining the theory behind it. The students will get a complete idea about the theory, its physical construction. A three-dimensional representation or video is always better for the students to understand its constructional details. So let us move to the next slide. Virtual labs will be replacing physical labs. So if you want to do a open circuit or short circuit test on a transformer, you will be just dragging a transformer, various meters, and then you will make a short circuit and conduct the OCSC test. A lot of augmented reality and virtual reality will be coming to these software soon, so that the students will have a physical feel of what they are doing. I expect that this physical feel should not be only in seeing, it should arouse all our five senses. For example, if there is a short circuit and there is a wire burning, the students should be able to smell the burning wire. Let us have a fun session. I will give you the spelling of a word. Read it loudly. I hope you all enjoyed this fun session. Such fun sessions, jokes, stories, they are an integral part of any classroom. Let us move on to the fourth part, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I had often seen students saying, sorry, I cannot remember all this. And this is the bad part of our education system. The student has to remember a lot of things. And remembering is not part of learning. If you see at the cone of learning, whatever you read, you will remember only 10% of what you read after 2 weeks, 20% of what you hear after 2 weeks, and coming down 90% of what you do. So doing something or demonstration and experimentation and projects are most important. Let us quickly go through neuro-linguistic program. It's a very vast area, but I am just covering it with 2 slides. I need at least 2 weeks to complete it. Neuro refers to the central nervous system. Linguistic refers to language. And neuro-linguistic program is a learning model that allows the individual to understand how thoughts are processed and the impact of this in the behavior and in the decision making as well. So you can divide the students in a class into 3 different learning styles: the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic. Visual type of students learn by seeing things. Auditory type of students learn things by hearing, and kinesthetic type of students learn things by doing it. So a statistics says that 30% of a students in a typical classroom belongs to visual, 25% auditory, and 15% kinesthetic, and remaining 30% has mixed learning style. So when you go to a class, you should be aware of this. If you continuously talk for 1 hour, only 25% of the students will be following you. And interestingly, the teacher himself belongs to one of this category. Now let us move on to the last and final part of my presentation, which is very important also, the inculcation of values in students. This is not taken care of by our education system, but it is very, very important for the holistic development of a child. What is value education? Value education teaches us to preserve whatever is good and worthwhile in what we have inherited from our culture. It helps us to accept and respect the attitude and behavior of those who differ from us. I wish to read the last sentence once again. It helps us to accept and respect the attitude and behavior of those who differ from us. If you see the social networks, newspapers and TV channels, you will see a lot of intolerance. And all this is coming because we miss value education. What are the human values? Love, respect, acceptance, consideration, appreciation, kindness, dependability, loyalty, honesty, perseverance, and so on. I have a big list which I arbitrarily wrote here. It may not be complete. And the main question is how to instill these values in students. So this can be only done by teachers and parents, by moral stories, motivational videos, social experiment videos, social immersion projects, rural immersion programs, cultural immersion programs, community immersion programs. Let us see one social experiment. There is a violence going on. And you can see a lady, a second lady, passing without even looking at it. So a violence is going on in front of you, and you are not even bothered about it. You can see a third person walks past the two. A fourth person, she changes her trajectory even, doesn't care of what is going on. And the fifth person, oh God, he at least stopped. What are you doing? He reacted. So these types of social experiments should be shown to students. Social immersion programs, they are important. Students should work with the society.
I'm in Bangalore now, at an orphanage, a home to be more precise. It's a home for about 15 children, and most of them are from very difficult backgrounds of violence and suicide, human trafficking, and just extreme poverty. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Let me just tell you about this briefly a little bit. I got here about 3 months ago, and I completely fell in love with children and the vision of this place. It was started about 12 years ago by this wonderful couple, Uncle Sam and Auntie Sonia as the children.
There should be at least 1 or 2 social immersion programs during a course of 4 years course. Rural immersion programs, these are also important. Students should go and work in rural areas.
So during the rural immersion program, we divided into groups of 4 or 5 people, and we are sent to villages across Madhya Pradesh. It's a 1-week program, and every year we give the institute gives a different project for us to follow, so that at the end we can report our findings and recommendations to the Gram Panchayat.
And also this is in keeping with the social conscious mission of the institute, where we develop the institute ensures that we develop socially conscious behavior.
Then cultural immersion programs. Students should interact with various cultures. They should visit places and understand various cultures. Community immersion programs. So all these programs are essential for our students, molding our students as good citizens. Let us see a good physics teacher, how he explains the conversion of potential energy to kinetic energy.
Pendulum. I have an object that weighs 15 kilograms and I can lift it up 1 meter, which I have done now. That means I've done work. MGH is the work I have done, believe me. I've increased the potential energy of this object. 15 times 10 is about 150 joules. If I let it fall, then that will be converted to kinetic energy. If I would let it swing from 1 meter height, and you would be there, and if it hit you, you'd be dead. 150 joules is enough to kill you. They use these devices, it's called a wrecker ball. They use them to demolish buildings. You lift up a very heavy object, even heavier than this, and then you let it go, you swing it, thereby converting gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy, and that way you can demolish the building. You just let it hit, and it breaks the building. And that's the whole idea of wrecking. So you're using then the conversion of gravitational potential energy to kinetic energy. Now, I am such a strong believer of the conservation of mechanical energy that I am willing to put my life on the line. If I release that bulb from a certain height, then that bulb can never come back to a point where the height is any larger. If I release it from this height and it swings, then when it reaches here, it could not be higher. There is a conversion from gravitational potential energy to kinetic energy back to gravitational potential energy, and it will come to a stop here. And when it swings back, it should not be able to reach any higher, provided that I do not give this object an initial speed when I stand here. I trust the conservation of mechanical energy for 100%. I may not trust myself. I'm going to release this object, and I hope I will be able to do it at 0 speed, so that when it comes back, it may touch my chin, but it may not touch my chin. I want you to be extremely quiet, because this is no joke. If I don't succeed in giving it 0 speed, then this will be my last lecture. I will close my eyes, I don't want to see this. So please be very quiet. I almost didn't sleep all night. 3, 2, 1, 0. Physics works, and I'm still alive.
So a teacher should be a performer, a motivator, a mentor, a storyteller, a comedian, and whatnot. So I'm almost coming to my last slide. Losing ethically is equal to winning. This photograph is from London Olympics to 2012. Spanish runner Ivan Fernandez Anaya was running second, well behind Abel Mathai of Kenya. Anaya saw Mutai mistakenly pulled up 10 meters too early, thinking he had already crossed the finishing line. Anaya stayed behind and gestured Mutai to finish to the finishing line, allowing him to cross it first. And this is something which I say this person, Ivan Fernandez Anaya, has values. And how he got these values? From his parents, from the society, and from us teachers. So value education is very important. Now let us quickly go for an interactive feedback. Take out your mobile and type www.pollev.com/UK333. So you can see the result of the poll. So 39% says compassion is most important. 29% says love is most important. Very few percentage for wisdom, and 27% says the last option, D option. See, I don't have a definite answer for this. This is a opinion poll. All of you are correct. All these human values are important. So normally when you take lectures, go for such type of polls where every student is correct. This will encourage them, because no student likes to fail in an exam or in a quiz or in a poll. So try to give such polls which make all of them happy. So these are some of the references. Can you see the references, Miss?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, so these are some of the references. And thank you very much for patiently listening to my session. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer to them. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation, and also for giving us tips on how to take classes, and also some insight into some values. Now the session is open for questions. In the chat section, formally, there was a question by Mr. K.S. Matthew, and Rohit has already answered for it, but still I'll share the question to all the participants because it has few important points and also points to think over. So the question by Mr. K.S. Matthew is, Rohit, this is regarding your view on it is okay not to have a plan in your life, but it is not okay not to have a vision or long-term goal, maybe 10 years from now. In your life, I agree with you only partially. You can achieve your goals only if you plan and act on it continuously. By planning, I don't mean to have a detailed long-term plan. It could be what is called rolling wave planning, where you plan for the next immediate short period, maybe next week, next month, or next year. What is your view? So this is the question that K.S. Matthew sir had asked. And Rohit has also put in his view, stating that as he is a student, he has only seen half of his entire life and has not even faced most of the harsh realities of life. So definitely, sir, you have a much better view on it. But definitely, sir, rolling wave plan is something new to me and is something that I would definitely look into. So Rohit, if you have any further points to share or to the question, it's open to you now.
Thank you, sir, for that question. I think my talk was probably on based on what I have seen and experienced in my life up till now. Sir, you have much more experience. You have seen much more world than me, sir. So I think I would probably reconsider that point in my coming years in my life when I faced the realities of life. So I probably at some point I would definitely look into and probably reconsider.
Thank you very much, sir.
Also, professor had also given a note for Unnikrishnan sir's talk. He just mentioned that there is one comment that the 4 Cs or the 21st century skills are relevant for everyone and not only for students.
Yes, he is right. It is relevant to everyone. Yes.
Any other questions that you want to clarify? So I think there are no further questions. So thank you very much for all the participants.